Psychetruth, life, wisdom. In a previous video, I discussed snacking and whether it's better to eat 3 meals per day or 6 smaller meals per day. In that video, I recommended that we include protein in our meals and in our snacks. So in this video, I'm counting down the top 10 sources of protein. I want you to leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite source of protein is. Now, I am going to include both vegetarian and non-vegetarian sources of protein in this video, so be sure to leave me a comment letting me know your favorite source of protein. Before I get started, I want to briefly explain why protein is important in the first place. So protein is composed of amino acids, and these amino acids literally are the building blocks that become us. So our muscles, our tissues, our organs are composed of these amino acids that we get from protein. Another important thing about protein is that when we eat protein, it stimulates the release of the hormone glucagon. And glucagon is the digestive hormone that encourages us to burn and metabolize fat. So including protein in your meals and stimulating the release of glucagon is what signals our body to become full and become satisfied, and it also stimulates our body to start metabolizing and burning fat. So protein is something we want to include in our snacks and in all of our meals, and in this video I'm going to give you the top 10 sources of protein. The incredible edible egg. Eggs are a terrific source of protein, but I want to take a moment to dispel a couple of myths about eggs. Now, there have been a lot of people who have said, eggs are really high in cholesterol, you don't want to eat the yolk. And this is not a good, healthy recommendation. Now, there's a lot of confusion about cholesterol, and I'm actually working on a future video discussing cholesterol specifically. So if this is something you're concerned about, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and keep an eye out for that video. But the bottom line here that you need to remember is that eating the whole egg is what provides you the benefit. So the yolk actually is what contains most of the nutrients that are contained in the egg. And if you're not eating the yolk, then you're really missing out. And also, it doesn't taste as good. So when you eat eggs, you want to actually eat the whole entire egg. And to give you some ideas of how you can integrate eggs into your diet, obviously they make a great breakfast, but one thing I like to do is hard boil or soft boil eggs. We do have a video about how to do that on our channel, and then add them into salads, into sandwiches. You can make deviled eggs, for instance. So there's a lot of ways to integrate eggs, not just for breakfast. So while they do make a really great breakfast food, I actually integrate eggs into a lot of different meals. And especially if you are a vegetarian, eggs are going to be a really great source of protein. So again, don't worry about the cholesterol myths surrounding eggs. Go ahead and eat the whole entire egg and recognize that this is going to be a great source of protein and not just for breakfast. Say cheese. Cheese is my next top source of protein. So it's important to know that processed cheese products don't count. So one kind of surefire sign, sure way to tell, is by looking on the ingredient list of the cheese product you're buying. And if it has a bunch of long, weird chemical names on it, that should be your red flag that, hey, this is a processed cheese product and it's really not a very healthy food to consume. But when we are eating high quality cheeses, then it can be a very good source of protein. One way to know that you are purchasing a high quality source of cheese is if it actually says the words grass-fed or pasture-raised on the packaging. And this tip can also be applied over to eggs as well that come from grass-fed or pasture-raised chickens. Now, if you want to hear a more detailed discussion about grass-fed versus factory farmed meats, then we have a whole other video specifically on that topic. But the bottom line here is to look for those words grass-fed or pasture-raised, and that will tell you that this is a high-quality product. Another wonderful source of protein is yogurt. But again, there's a couple of myths that I want to dispel. So oftentimes when we are in the grocery store and in the yogurt section, there are a lot of different yogurts to choose from. And most of the yogurts that we see advertised on TV actually contain a whole lot of sugar. Some cases they even contain high fructose corn syrup and other different chemical additives that we don't want to be eating, that are not part of a healthy food. So my tips are to actually read the ingredient labels. And if you see a bunch of weird chemical names or you see sugar, then that again is going to be kind of your red flag that, oh, this is a processed food. This isn't the healthiest choice of yogurt I could have. You can also look for the words grass-fed and pasture-raised once more. So having dairy products or any kind of animal product from animals that are grass-fed and pasture-raised, it's just going to contain a lot more nutrition. It's going to be a lot more high-quality product. Again, you could also look for the words organic. And then you also want to avoid non-fat dairy products. So this is probably one of the biggest myths about dairy products that's out there. And we can remember, a couple of years ago, there was this big craze of fat-free products, non-fat foods, skim milk, etc. And giving us this idea that, oh, well, if we eat non-fat foods, we're not going to be as fat. Well, actually, it's kind of completely the opposite. So the fat contained in a high-quality dairy product is actually what helps you digest that dairy product. So when you take the fat out and eat a fat-free or skim version, it's actually going to be harder for your body to digest. Another benefit of the fat that's contained in these certain dairy products is that the fat actually helps us feel full and tells our body to turn off that hunger mechanism. So when we're eating a food like yogurt, for instance, we've got a high source of protein, but then we've also got a high source of high quality fats. And these high quality fats are really good for our brain, they're really good for our overall health, and they're what make us feel full and feel satisfied. So one other recommendation on yogurt is to just buy an unsweetened yogurt. And then what you can do is you have something really versatile. So for instance, in the morning, I can take some of my yogurt, add some fruit, or maybe even add some honey and sweeten it to serve with my granola, for instance. But then if I want to use that yogurt in a savory recipe, like a dressing or a sauce, well, then I can use that same jar of yogurt that I've bought because it's just the unsweetened kind. So again, these tips are look at the sugar content, make sure it doesn't contain too much sugar, make sure that it's a high quality Greek yogurt, and preferably it comes from pasture raised or grass fed animals, and it is not a non-fat product. Quinoa. Now, this may be a new food for some of you, but if it's something you aren't familiar with, it is definitely one of my most highly recommended foods. It's incredibly easy to prepare. It's basically 2 parts water to 1 part quinoa. It prepares pretty much just like rice or any of the other grains. It makes a great replacement for rice or pasta or whatever carbohydrate you might have as your meal. And the bonus is that it offers a huge amount of protein as well. So this versatile seed can again, take the place of grains in a meal, so it can make a great breakfast, it can be a part of a lunch, it can be part of a snack, you can add it to salads. And this seed is, again, something I highly recommend you add to your diet. You can find it in the bulk section of your grocery store, or you can even find it with the pasta and the rice. So check out quinoa. This is a great source of protein, and let me know your thoughts once you try it. It very easily takes on the flavors of pretty much whatever you prepare it with. So it can be sweet or it can be salty. So try quinoa and then come back and leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Nuts are another fabulous source of protein, and almonds are probably the top source of protein. Another great thing about almonds is that they help to stabilize our blood sugar. So they make a really great snack. They can make a really great snack, especially if you're trying to lose weight or you have problems with maintaining your blood sugar or you have diabetes or something like that. So nuts, this is probably my favorite snack to just carry around in my purse, just carry around some trail mix. Now the only point I want to make about trail mix is that oftentimes when we buy a bag of trail mix, especially in a convenience store or in the bulk section of the grocery store, a lot of times these are nuts that are heavily salted, and then they contain dried fruits. Sometimes they even contain chocolate. And if you are really looking for a good, high quality, just high protein snack, especially if you're looking for something that's going to help you lose weight, you want to just have the nuts. And preferably, they're not going to be salted. They're not going to have candy or something mixed in with the trail mix. So you can actually, one thing I like to do is go to the bulk section and get a bag of pecans, a bag of almonds, a bag of peanuts, and then kind of make my own trail mix with those different fresh nuts. So nuts, really great protein. This is something you can add to salads and add to your meals, and again, also makes a really great snack. Beans are another great source of protein, and there are a lot of different beans out there. There's lentils, kidney beans, pinto, black beans, garbanzo beans, and there's a lot of different uses for beans. You could make hummus, you could make a stew, you can add beans to salads or just about anything else. And beans have gotten kind of a bad rap for causing digestive distress. But that digestive distress can be significantly minimized by preparing the beans correctly. So soaking the beans before preparing them, or even sprouting the beans. You can also add seaweed to beans while you're cooking them, and all of these different methods will help to make them easier to digest, make them less likely to make you gassy if that's something you have a problem with. And in a future video, I'm actually going to take you into my kitchen and show you how to properly prepare these different beans and legumes. So hopefully this is something, again, definitely for vegetarians, beans are one of probably the best sources of protein. But whether you're a vegetarian or not, I highly recommend that you incorporate more of these foods into your diet. Most of you have probably heard of tofu, but you may not be familiar with tempeh. So tempeh is a fermented tofu product. And when you ferment the tofu, it really unleashes the different nutritional benefits, and it significantly ups the protein content. So you can find tempeh in pretty much any grocery store, definitely any health food store. It's very easy to prepare. Again, this is a really great food for vegetarians because it can be used in place of certain meat products. Now, tofu itself is still a good source of protein, but it's not quite as good of a source of protein. And there are some people who have problems when they eat too much soy. So if you're a vegetarian and you eat a lot of tofu and really depend on tofu for the protein in your diet, then I would recommend checking out tempeh and looking at if you can replace some of the tofu in your diet with this fermented tofu called tempeh. And even if you're not a vegetarian, this is still a really great source of protein. It has a really great flavor, so I highly recommend that you check it out. As we approach number 1 in our countdown, I know that you guys are waiting for the animal products and meat products, but before we get there, we've got one more vegetarian source of protein. And that is spinach, asparagus, Swiss chard, and mustard greens. And you might be surprised to find that these vegetables are actually up there really close to all the meat products I'm about to mention. And it's worth noting that pretty much all of the vegetables have a good amount of protein to offer. So squash, tomatoes, mushrooms, peas, kale, all of these different vegetables are still considered good sources of protein. And for those of you who have asked questions on our channel or who have maybe wondered, how on earth can a vegetarian get enough protein? Well, this is it, because right up there with the animal products, you've got these really great vegetables. So not only do we have phytonutrients, vitamins, all kinds of wonderful nutrients coming from these vegetables, go ahead and recognize that these are also really, really good sources of protein and a great thing for everyone to incorporate more into their diet. Animal products are probably the most common thing that people think of when they think about protein, but I want to give you some really useful recommendations on how to find a good, high-quality meat product for you to eat. So once again, back to the discussion of grass-fed and pasture-raised versus factory-farmed meats. And again, we've got a whole video on this specific topic, but looking for the words grass-fed or pasture-raised is one of the best ways to make sure that you are avoiding harmful chemicals, pesticides that might have been sprayed on the food they're eating, GMOs that may have been fed to the animals, antibiotics that are given to the animals, hormones, and all kinds of horrific things that we are going to be ingesting if we're eating factory-farmed meat, which is pretty much all of your conventional meat. Anything in a restaurant or a fast food place, any kind of junk food, these are generally going to come from factory farmed animals, and they are not good, healthy sources of protein. Another consideration is avoiding processed meats. So if you are buying a meat product and you turn over and there is an ingredient label on it, that's the first sign that that's not 100% meat. And then if you go on to read that ingredient label and you see nitrates and nitrites, or you see any kind of long, weird looking chemicals, that should set off the red flag in your head that this is a processed meat product and is really not a healthy choice. So avoiding any kind of processed meat thing, any kind of fast food, microwave meals, all of those recommendations are still really important. And if you are looking for a healthy source of protein that's going to come from a meat product like chicken, beef, or turkey, which is actually the #1 source of protein, you just want to make sure that it is actually a whole meat product, preferably that's coming from the butcher or from the farmer himself, and that it is a grass-fed or pasture-raised animal that meat is coming from. So I mentioned in the last tip that turkey is actually at #1 in terms of being a protein source, but in between turkey and the beef and the chicken is the fish products. So we've got tuna, cod, shrimp. All of these are really good sources of protein. And again, we can kind of just apply the same thinking over. So if it's a fish product that has a really long ingredient list, well, that's your red flag to tell you that that's a processed food and it's actually not such a healthy source of protein. Again, breaded or fried foods, even if it's a good high quality source of protein, that frying and breading process is going to not make it as healthy for you. Once more, if you want to look for the words wild caught or fresh caught on the label of the fish that you buy, then that's another good way to make sure that you're getting natural fish that was eating its natural diet. Because just the way that they have factory farms for livestock, they also have factory farms for fish, and they are even genetically modifying certain fish in some instances. So looking for the words wild caught or fresh caught, making sure that there's not a really long ingredient list on the product if it is something that's pre-made or pre-packaged, is really going to help you ensure that you're getting a high quality source of protein. And recognize that since the reason we eat protein is to get the amino acids out, and so that we can then use those amino acids to build our body, the higher quality the protein, the higher quality actually we are going to be. So hopefully these tips will help you integrate more protein into your diet and improve your health, take control of your hunger, and control of your weight. In a future video, I'm going to count down the top 10 healthy sources of healthy fats. So optimally, we want to have each of the macronutrients in each of our meals. So in this video, I was counting down protein, and in future videos, I'm going to count down the top 10 sources of fat and the top 10 sources of carbohydrates. And in another video, I'm going to discuss protein shakes, energy bars, energy drinks, all of these different products which are geared to either being a snack or being a meal replacement or actually being a source of energy. So I'm going to tell you what to look for in those products and how you can actually take control of your energy in a healthy way. So please be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave me a comment letting me know your favorite source of protein, and subscribe to Psychetruth so you can see all of our future videos offering you tips and tricks on how you can take control of your health and your happiness. If you want to learn more about me and my health coaching practice, you can visit CorrinaRachel.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. To hear my interview with a clinical nutritionist discussing the difference between factory farmed and grass-fed meat products, check out my video, Healthy Meat Tips. Is it better to eat 3 meals a day or 3 meals and 2 snacks? To hear my discussion and my answer, check out the video, To Snack or Not to Snack. For some really basic guidelines on how you can improve your diet and lose weight, check out my video, The Easiest Diet Ever. I have over 100 different videos discussing nutrition, weight loss, and overall health. To see my full playlist of videos and pick which one you'd like to watch, check on the Ultimate Corrina playlist.